Okay, so let's nip in and get some fuel and top this this baby up and see what it'll do to a tank of fuel today. So I've topped it up to the brim. Okay, so I've topped it off, and I'm just looking at my last kind of tank of fuel, and my fuel average. I'm getting about 40.8 miles per the gallon, and that's quite good. I see a lot of guys putting up 30 miles per the gallon and 33, but that's pretty damn good. So I'm going to reset my trip meter to 0, and let's see what we can get to a tank of fuel, to the reserve, and also what can we get on the reserve. Can we run the bike out and see what we can actually get before it runs out? Let's try that. Okay, onward. And basically I'm just going to ride how I normally ride. It's not all on the motorway. The most I've had on this bike to a tank of fuel, and it pretty much took 17 litres to fill it up, but I didn't run out of fuel before that point, and I was on the motorways going down to Silverstone to the MotoGP, and basically I got 178 miles on the motorway, doing about 70-75 all the way, a little bit on cruise control. I don't know if the mode's making a difference, but I had it on traction control 2, which I pretty much leave this MT10 SP on, and I had it in power mode 3. Anyway, so I got 178 miles to a tank of fuel, pretty much all on motorway, and that was the most I've ever got out of it. I ride fast, I ride sensible, slow, normal. I don't do commuting on the bike, so it is just a weekend toy to go places. And I'm normally seeing about 127 miles before I get onto the reserve fuel, and then I pretty much fill it up. I know you can get a lot more on reserve. I think it's quite conservative when it comes onto reserve. I know when I did the B500 Scotland trip last year, I was basically running it to a petrol station at around 155 miles to actually filling up, with still some in the tank. So that's on a touring mode, basically, just taking it easy. Yeah, I'm interested to see what we can get, really. The bike itself, just so that you know, has had a Woolwich ECU custom dyno flash, and I did notice that I was getting more miles to the gallon after I had the flash. The MT10 range runs very lean from standard to meet the Euro regulations, and too lean, to be honest. And once you've got the ECU flash done, you can have a postal map. So what that means is you can send your ECU to people like Junction 33 in Golgate, Lancashire, and Andy would do a postal flash, so he will flash your ECU to the best one that he has, and that's basically generated from hundreds of MT10s that he's done the ECU flashes on, and gets good reports even from the postal flashes. Or you can take it to one of these places like Junction 33, and you can get a full custom dyno ECU Woolwich flash to your bike, depending on what exhaust and setup you've got. But yeah, instantly when I went through my first tank of fuel after the flash, I noticed that I had more miles to the gallon, and it's been pretty good ever since. The other thing that the ECU flash did is smoothed out the throttle and made the power more linear. There's no flat spots anywhere, and it also gave it more torque low down, and in all of the rev range. And I guess with it running richer and not lean as it was from standard, and having more torque now, you don't need as much throttle input to be able to get it to go up to a certain speed. So more torque, less throttle, saving on fuel, I guess. So I'm currently running in 6 at 60 miles an hour, and I don't know if you can see that, but I'm getting about 54, 55 miles per gallon, doing around 60 in 6. Okay, I see we're at 82 miles, and we've just gone to half a tank of fuel. So 82 miles and it's dropped to half a tank of fuel. So logically you would think I would get 160 miles to a tank. So let's see how that pans out, shall we? Okay, so I've just hit, I think it was 118, let me just check. Okay, so I've just done 114.7 miles and it's just gone on to reserve. So pretty much it dropped from 2 bars to 1 bar at 114 miles. So let's just see how many miles we can get on reserve. So we're at 6 miles on reserve currently. So this full tank of fuel has been done on power mode 2. Now all that does is alter the throttle response, so it doesn't reduce the brake horsepower or anything like that. And traction control 2 shouldn't have any anything to do with how much fuel it's using. Suspension maybe in the long run per tank, but I would doubt it fathoms into a tank of fuel. Many tanks maybe, but I'm not sure on that. So yeah, power mode 2, as I say, is just the throttle response. That's it. We're nearly on 7 miles. Normally pretty comfortably. I've done 20 miles on a reserve tank and not really panicked and had an issue. So let's just see where it runs out. So it's also worth mentioning that when I filled the bike up, although I did brim it to the top, and it was on the side stand, and I found that if I actually sit on the bike, or if the bike's upright, I can get a little bit more fuel in to the tank. So basically, yeah, the bike was fueled up on the side stand, not bolt upright with me sat on top of it. So there goes one petrol station. Could have pulled up there and filled up nice and easily. We've done 9.7 miles now on the reserve. So we're at 13 miles, 13.9, nearly 14 miles now on reserve. Okay, so we're just past 20.2 miles on reserve, and we're passing another petrol station. Okay, so we're on 24.1 miles now on reserve, and still going. So let's see where we end up before we run out. So I don't know whether the drift on the side of the helmet camera is picking up the new Osmo Action camera that I have mounted on the front of my helmet. There'll be a video coming up on that, and obviously every video after this one will then be in 4K, 60 frames per second. So super high quality, and also the sound on the videos will be as it is now. Although I'm just waiting for GGI to release the mic adapter that you need for the Osmo Action. So currently I'll be splicing the audio from the drift camera onto the video footage of the Osmo action coming on the next videos. Hopefully it's not too far out with the mic adapter, and then I can just use one camera for all the future videos coming up. So 24.8 miles so far on reserve. And for anyone interested in the footage or what it looks like on the new Osmo action that I've mounted on the helmet, so this is 4K video. So I'm just going to flick between 1080p 60 frames per second on the drift, and okay, so flip. Now you're seeing the footage from 4K Osmo action footage. So this is how it will look in the future, and we'll flip now back to the 1080p drift camera. Okay, so that's 30 miles on reserve. Okay, so that's 34.4 miles on reserve, and I'm just running out of fuel now. That's it, 34.6, and no more fuel. So we'll pull over and fill her up. So, how many miles can you get out of an MT10? So as I mentioned before, it's got a Woolwich ECU flash. I've got the Akrapovic N can on here, and let's just have a look at the mileage. So guaranteed, confirmed, as per trip meter, 34.8 miles on reserve. When I look through here, fuel average 40.8 miles to the gallon, and 149.1 miles to a full tank of gas, and that's riding normally, quick and slow. And power mode 2, TCS 2, and that's your lot really. So 149.1 miles to a tank. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the max I've ever had is about 178, but that was all motorway work, mainly on cruise control at 70 mile an hour. So riding normally, that's what I get. 149.1 to a tank.
If you like the videos, please subscribe and hit the bell button for regular reminders of new videos coming up.